Coronation Street is sponsored by Cadbury's Caramel.
Spend the weekend with some of the greatest names in crime. Tales of deception, murder and mayhem. The best crime weekend ever on Plus, Saturday and Sunday from noon.
You can trust the personal injury company that's already settled thousands of claims to help you. All you have to do is talk to the accident group.
If you've had a motor accident that wasn't your fault, either as a driver or as a passenger,
slipped or tripped
while out and about,
or suffered an injury at work,
you could claim compensation today. The call costs you nothing and could win you thousands. Because with the accident group, it's...
No fee!
what's stopping you? Our experienced, friendly staff are waiting for your call. Call 0800 040 7777 and you could make a claim today.
I'd like people to know, really, that I'm not just saying this because of this advert. I mean it. They are absolutely wonderful people.
We've already recovered over £100 million for our clients. To claim, call the accident group on 0800 040 7777. Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Italians have always been very particular about their ingredients. Now Dolmio bring you new Just Heat and Serve pasta sauces in a convenient microwavable pack that you just heat and serve over warm pasta. Try Dolmio Just Heat and Serve and take Italian lessons with Dolmio.
Simon, not another reminder. And we got 3 more phone calls last night. We've got to sort this out.
Sound familiar? If so, call Baines & Ernst now. Mr. Stevenson called. He was struggling to repay £980 per month. This was restructured to one single monthly payment of £149. Baines & Ernst have over £800 million of debt under management and are waiting to help solve your debt problems right now. So call 0500 0500 54. Call now.
Lean on me.
At least the taxman doesn't get his hands on my savings.
For tax-free savings, lean on the Liver.
His only rule, never plead guilty. Leo McKern as the Rumpole of the Bailey. Starts Monday the 7th of May on Plus.
Welcome home to Plus, the home of TV hits with LA Law tonight at 8, and that's followed by Taggart at 9 o'clock. But right now, it's the Comedy Hour.
There's only one way to settle this thing.
What?
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
LA Law tonight at 8 on Plus.
For the first time on DVD, experience the entire second season of The X-Files.
That's what they fear the most.
With exclusive features, deleted scenes, and an all-new documentary.
I need to know what you know.
Own the ultimate DVD collector's edition of The X-Files.
For just £14.99 a month, you can enjoy a unique doorway to a whole new world that AOL are making simpler, faster, and easier to use for everyone. So without any more costly telephone bills, you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. And if you're not a member yet, we've got something special for you.
Now you can try AOL for absolutely nothing. Just call 0800 237 237 for your completely free trial pack.
I had a massive row with Dave last night, and he said that when I talk, my nostrils flare. Do I flare my nostrils when I talk? Anyway, he's not so perfect himself. He's got quite a few faults, actually. He's got hair coming out of his ears, he's got hair coming out of his nose, a big beer belly.
When you can make as many local evening and weekend calls as you like for just £5 extra a month, you'd better start limbering up.
And hair on his back. That's not good. Maybe you could wax it. Yeah, Dave, I know my nostrils flare, but I've been told it can be quite sexy, all right?
BT Talk Together. Call 0800 05 5555.
What do you mean my gums are too big?
Now you can get that exceptionally clean feeling at home. Introducing the Braun Oral-B 3D XL. It pulsates 40,000 times per minute, gently reaching deep between teeth to remove more plaque than an ordinary toothbrush. The new Braun Oral-B 3D XL cleans so deep, your teeth feel exceptionally clean.
But this won't take too long, Leslie. Let's kick off at 3.
Homebase are hammering down prices on thousands of products. There's up to 20% off all sheds.
Oh, no!
You can trust the personal injury company that's already settled thousands of claims to help you. All you have to do is talk to the accident group.
If you've had a motor accident that wasn't your fault, either as a driver or as a passenger,
Slipped or tripped while out and about, or suffered an injury at work.
You could claim compensation today. The call costs you nothing and could win you thousands. Because with the accident group, it's...
What's stopping you? Our experienced, friendly staff are waiting for your call. Call 0800 040 7777 and you could make a claim today.
I was working in a kitchen in a local restaurant. I was taking a tray of ribs out the oven and the fat spilled onto my legs. A year on, I received £6,600.
We've already recovered over £100 million for our clients. To claim, call the accident group on 0800 040 7777. Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Extended 0% finance is available on the Fiat Punto, Bravo, Brava and Seicento. Just call 0800 71 7000.
Tragedy strikes as two rival families go to war. Taggart investigates in Death Without Dishonor, tonight at 9.
But catching a goose was easier said than done. Eventually, it was safely in the net.
All right. Just sit on him. All right. That was what we wanted, so we're going to release it in a minute.
Absolutely nothing. Just call 0800 237 237 for your completely free trial pack.
Jack, can we get somewhere else? Shelley!
5, Swansea 3. Notts County 2, Northampton Town 0. Reading
One more
1.
home win.
Peterborough 1.
Oh no!
That's another £5 down the drain then.
What's this?
HSA. Maureen next door's on it. Got cash back for an in-growing toenail. Helps pay for dental, optical. No medical to take either.
I could get some designer glasses.
What about some designer teeth?
Don't gamble with your family's health. It pays to be with HSA, whichever way you look at it.
Covers acupuncture too.
Call 0800 08 54321.
I like your coconuts. Your plump and juicy raisins are divine. Your apple sliced bananas and your hazelnuts. Just make sure the bowl you're in is mine.
Statistics show that a dog's immune system declines by age 7. Statistics show that by age 8, it could be just half the strength of a 2-year-old dog. Forget statistics, because now there's IAMS. IAMS Senior is proven to take the immune system of an 8-year-old to the level of a much younger adult dog. Welcome to a new world of health. IAMS.
Italians have always been very particular about their ingredients. Now Dolmio bring you new Just Heat and Serve. Pasta sauces in a convenient microwavable pack that you just heat and serve over warm pasta. Try Dolmio Just Heat and Serve and take Italian lessons with Dolmio.
By the way, IAMS gives your dog complete and balanced nutrition in every stage of his life for a long, active time together. IAMS, welcome to a new world of health.
Leonard Cohen, Willie Nelson, and Sheena Easton.
I love you.
Miami Vice, back to back. Saturday, 12 to 6 on Plus.
Monday night on Plus, and the comedy starts here with Martin setting up the neighbourhood watch.
LA Law, tonight at 8 on Plus.
The health you can see every day of his life.
We all want to keep fit and healthy. Well, here's a great way to afford the very best in healthcare. HSA. With HSA, one small payment covers all your family for up to 21 great health benefits. For the equivalent of just £5.40 a week, a family of 4 could, each year, receive up to £444 towards dental treatment, £372 towards optical care, £1,380 towards physiotherapy, £6,825 of hospital cash benefits, and much, much more. Whether you receive NHS or private treatment, the cash is yours to spend however you like. And when you join, we'll send you £15 worth of Marks & Spencer's vouchers. For more information or to join HSA today, call 0800 08 54321. That's 0800 08 54321.
Simon, not another reminder. And we got 3 more phone calls last night. We've got to sort this out.
Sound familiar? If so, call Baines & Ernst now. Mr. Stevenson called. He was struggling to repay £980 per month. This was restructured to one single monthly payment of £149. Baines & Ernst have over £800 million of debt under management and are waiting to help solve your debt problems right now. So call 0500 0500 54. Call now.
The more you do, the more your world becomes chaotic and the more you need control. That's the whole philosophy behind the Nissan Almera. It's all about feeling protected in a cocoon. The design translates to the agility of the car. It's kind of a control freak on wheels, but in a good way.
I had a massive row with Dave last night, and he said that when I talk, my nostrils flare. Do I flare my nostrils when I talk? Anyway, he's not so perfect himself. He's got quite a few faults, actually. He's got hair coming out of his ears, he's got hair coming out of his nose, a big beer belly.
When you can make as many local evening and weekend calls as you like for just £5 extra a month, you'd better start limbering up.
And hair on his back. That's not good. Maybe he could wax it. Yeah, Dave, I know my nostrils flare, but I've been told it can be quite sexy, all right?
BT Talk Together. Call 0800 05 5555.
What do you mean my gums are too big?
Now you can get that exceptionally clean feeling at home. Introducing the Braun Oral-B 3D XL. It pulsates 40,000 times per minute, gently reaching deep between teeth to remove more plaque than an ordinary toothbrush. The new Braun Oral-B 3D XL cleans so deep, your teeth feel exceptionally clean.
Always wanted to see this. So I took a break from paying my pension.
For a flexible pension, lean on the Liver.
Let's play darts.
Nothing in this game but 2 in a bed.
Step up to the hockey with Bolton, Wednesday to Friday at 6.
Under the new Sex Offences Bill, gay and heterosexual sex will be treated in the same way. And there will be protection for gay workers in new employment law. The Conservative reaction today, a sign of how much things have changed.
If the government is addressing practical grievances, and if we are to keep the special status of marriage, then the government will have our support.
I want to pass my days within the sound...
How far could all this go? At the moment, gay and lesbian marriage ceremonies here are symbolic. Many same-sex couples would like full marriage status. The government will resist that, but even these proposals will worry many religious people who fear marriage is being undermined.
I think these proposals are sending a wrong signal to society.
wrong signal to children that it doesn't matter who or what, whether it's gay or lesbian or bisexual or heterosexual. I think we should be saying to children there is a difference, there is a differentiation, and there are relationships that we should be promoting and others that we shouldn't be promoting.
Not everyone will feel comfortable with gay people being given these extra rights, but attitudes towards sexuality in Britain are changing, especially among the young and especially in the cities. Today's move is a reflection of that. Neil Dixon, BBC News, Central London.
President Bush's gaffe-prone Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill resigned today, along with another key economic advisor. The White House refused to say if they'd been sacked, but it followed more bleak news for the US economy. Unemployment rose to 6% last month, its highest for almost a decade. Stephen Evans is in New York.
Happier days. When Mr. Bush won office, he was sure he'd found the right man to run the economic policy of the world's leading economic power.
It was incredibly important for me to find somebody who had vast experience, who is a steady hand, who, when he speaks, speaks with authority.
But the president's right-hand man has turned out to be accident-prone. When Paul O'Neill went to Africa on a fact-finding mission with U2 singer Bono, the pictures weren't flattering. When Enron collapsed, he said, companies come and go, that's the genius of capitalism. So, at the White House today, the announcement of the departure of Mr. O'Neill, plus the president's chief economic advisor.
The president looks at the economy as a matter that is bigger than any one person or any one expert, and the president looks forward to working with the Congress to advance policies and plans that help get the economy growing even stronger.
We want work.com. We want work.com. Please check out our website.
And there's a task to be done. On the streets of New York, redundant executives tout their CVs. Unemployment's just jumped to 6%. When the resignations were announced, there was barely a blip in the markets here on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. It was overshadowed by news of unemployment, and some people thought that Mr. O'Neill's resignation was a good thing.
He's kind of like the really smart idiot that's been in the administration for maybe too long.
It's just an indication that the administration wants more control over the dissemination of information on their economic policy.
Change of presentation but not policy is the way it's perceived here.
That's what I think, yes.
But the real economy increasingly intrudes. Companies aren't investing, and consumers are getting wary about spending.
I'm more on the pessimistic side. The stock market remains weak. Credibility still remains damaged. The government has not done much to restore confidence.
Next week, the Federal Reserve may lower interest rates yet again to boost spending, though they're already near rock bottom. Christmas shopping may pep up the economy, but vacancies for America's top 2 economic jobs can't boost confidence. Stephen Evans, BBC News, New York.
Here, a 48-year-old railway worker from Kent has been charged with raping 9 women and girls in southern England during the past 13 months. Anthony Imala, who's from Appledore near Ashford, will appear before magistrates tomorrow morning. More than 100 police have taken part in one of the biggest investigations in recent years. Robert Hall reports from police headquarters in Kent.
4 days after news broke that detectives from Operation Orb had made an arrest, the officer leading the inquiry tonight called a hastily arranged news conference to reveal that the man they'd detained stood accused of 9 attacks on women and girls.
He is Anthony Adam Imala, a railway subcontractor from Heathside, Appledore in Kent. Anthony Imala is currently detained at Folkestone Police Station, where he was taken after his arrest on Monday evening.
Members of the Operation Orb team had stopped Mr. Imala here at a motorway junction near Maidstone. The charges he faces cover 12 months from November last year and include alleged attacks in Kent, Berkshire, Surrey, London and Hertfordshire. Victims' ages ranged from 10 to 52.
Good evening, Incident Room. Can I help you?
This has been one of the largest and most complex police operations seen in recent years. Senior officers tonight stressed that a considerable amount of work has yet to be completed. One team remain at Mr. Imala's Kent home, where they've been carrying out a series of searches and forensic examinations. Tomorrow morning, Mr. Imala will be taken from Folkestone to a special court hearing in Canterbury. There, the 9 charges will be formally put to him before a magistrate. Robert Hall, BBC News, Kent.
Iraq will hand over its eagerly awaited dossier on its weapons programmes to UN weapons inspectors tomorrow. The Chief Inspector, Hans Blix, has said the declaration may run to 10,000 pages and his team will study it before passing it on to members of the Security Council. Meanwhile, the inspectors are continuing to search Iraq for weapons of mass destruction.
A night out for all the family in Baghdad this evening as Iraqis celebrate the Muslim holiday of Eid. But beneath the fun, there's also fear that the weapons declaration their country's about to make will not be enough to stave off an American-led attack.
Iraqis are well aware of the importance of tomorrow's declaration. They know it probably won't be an immediate trigger for war, but they also know that eventually it could lead to one.
This weekend, Saddam Hussein is required by the UN to own up to whatever chemical, biological and nuclear warfare programs he's still got. He claims there are none. And that while his troops may have plenty of weapons, they have no weapons of mass destruction. So instead, much of the declaration will be a deluge of detail about Iraq's so-called dual-use facilities, like this factory that could have a military purpose as well as a civilian one.
No prohibited material, no prohibited activities. Perhaps we have the so-called dual-use activities and the dual-use material. Those will be declared fully in this declaration.
UN weapons inspectors in Iraq will have the job of trying to work out whether the declaration is true or false, but whether they find something or nothing, many Iraqis believe war is inevitable.
A lot of people will die in such a war. It will not be an easy war. The Iraqis will not leave their country being occupied as easy as the Americans think. I mean, they'll fight and they'll fight hard. The Americans have to pay if they want to occupy this country and rule it. And they'll suffer and they'll regret it.
But in Iraq this evening, war looms on the horizon. Tomorrow's weapons declaration will be about 10,000 pages long, but not enough, it seems, to satisfy America or Britain. Ben Brown, BBC News, Baghdad.
Well, Matt Fry's at the White House now. Matt, the handing over of this dossier is obviously a key moment in the inspection process. Is that how it's seen there in Washington?
Well, December the 8th, now December the 7th, was going to be a defining day. But a bit of an avalanche here, Michael, I'm afraid, in Washington. But more than 10,000, in fact, we're told 18,000 pages of this dossier. It's going to take an army of speed readers to get through the whole thing. And of course, that's exactly what some members of this administration, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, are worried about, that it's just going to get everyone bogged down in useless and ambiguous detail. And of course, for the Iraqis, this is a very clever strategy indeed. They're going to draw out the process. They're going to try and split the Security Council as they have done before. And of course, they're going to be very cooperative with the inspectors as they have been so far.
If the Americans are so sure that Saddam Hussein has these weapons of mass destruction and has its own evidence, intelligence evidence, to back it up, why don't they just hand it over to the inspectors?
Well, they may have handed over something. We haven't been told that. It's also possible that they're keeping the smoking gun, if indeed there is a smoking gun, up their sleeve for the very end, if the inspection process doesn't go through. That side of things is really extremely murky. But we really think here that there's, again, an emerging split within the administration between people like Colin Powell, the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Defense and the Vice President. The old arguments, is this inspection process really worthwhile, or are we getting bogged down in something that we didn't want in the first place?
Matt, thanks. Here, Downing Street insists it has nothing more to say about Sherry Blair's property dealings with the convicted fraudster Peter Foster. A spokesman said he didn't want to intrude on the privacy of the Blair family. The Prime Minister refused to answer questions about the affair today, and Sherry Blair herself has also remained silent.
Heavily guarded, Sherry Blair was saying nothing on her way into a charity function tonight, but she's already taken the blame for Number 10's false account of the way a convicted conman helped her buy 2 flats. This story hasn't gone away quite yet. Her husband wishes it would, though. By pure coincidence, he was in Bristol today. Official business, nothing to do with the family's new property. That didn't stop the questions.
Prime Minister, embarrassed by your wife's dealings with a fraudster?
No answer, but his staff were wrong to deny that Peter Foster helped his wife.
Number 10, tell the truth, Mr. Blair.
The truth was that a man jailed for fraud in the past helped Cherie Blair buy property much like this, another flat in the same block. No one's saying Mrs. Blair did anything financially dishonest, still less illegal. But number 10's spokesman denied Peter Foster acted as a middleman when he did. So today's papers make grim reading. It seems number 10 staff weren't told the full story either, but now they're having to rebuild lost trust, and there's talk of more embarrassing headlines on the way over the coming weekend. It's left a bad taste.
It's not the first time by any means that the political journalists have been misled by the Prime Minister's official spokesman. It happened over Peter Mandelson, it happened over Stephen Byers, it's happened in a number of other cases. Now, when they get caught out, a row ensues, and quite rightly so. We wonder how many times they don't get caught out, of course.
There have been sympathetic voices today saying Cherie Blair's only crime has been trusting the wrong friends and guarding her privacy too closely. Maybe so, but the Prime Minister's wife will clearly have to learn from her mistakes. And as for Tony Blair's staff, the number 10 team has used up a lot of credit. In future, misleading tales and half-truths won't be excused easily or forgotten quickly. John Pienaar, BBC News, Central London.
Russia has criticised Britain for releasing an alleged terrorist on bail who they want on a series of murder charges. Ahmed Zakayev, a senior Chechen envoy, was detained after he flew into Heathrow last night from Denmark. He's due to appear at Bow Street Magistrates Court next week.
This is the Chechen envoy the Russians want extradited. They've already had one go. He was arrested at this conference in Denmark a month ago at Moscow's request, but freed this week for lack of evidence. Now he's flown to Britain and brought the controversy with him, and the decision to grant him bail has left the Russians fuming. In Portugal today, the Russian foreign minister claimed it was a highly dangerous move and called Zakayev a terrorist.
That well-known Chechen terrorist, Zakayev, on arrival in London, announced Chechen fighters were planning even more terrible acts.
But in London Theatreland, Mr. Zakayev has a powerful backer.
Mr. Zakayev is not a warlord and he is not a terrorist.
The actress Vanessa Redgrave calls herself his friend and patron. She's stood bail for him, sponsored his visa, and insists both he and the self-styled Chechen president he represents are peace-loving politicians.
He's an elected leader. His president was elected in 1997, recognized by every European government. Committed no crime, cleared by all security services, including the Russian security services.
British officials are insisting that this is a matter for the courts and due legal process. The British ambassador to Moscow even went on Russian television this afternoon to argue that. But try as it might, the British government is going to find it hard for any ruling not to be seen as a political decision. Vanessa Redgrave describes Mr. Zakayev as a fellow actor, but he was also a rebel field commander in the Chechen War. More recently, he's been the Chechen leader's chief envoy. He's met British diplomats and even one meeting with Russians. But now Russia brands him a terrorist, listing 10 charges, including murder and kidnap. It's since the Moscow siege by Chechen suicide bombers that Russia's line has hardened, but police raids on Chechens have worried European governments. Tony Blair and President Putin spoke on the phone today, but unless Britain agrees to this Chechen extradition, the Russian leader won't be satisfied. Bridget Kendall, BBC News.
8 men have each been jailed for 12 months for their part in a brawl at an FA Cup match last year. The Coventry City fans were among a group who attacked Manchester City supporters after the home team scored the winning goal in the final minutes. The men were also banned from football matches for 6 years. Police in Hertfordshire are looking for 3 youths after the death of a man who was doused in fuel and set on fire yesterday morning. 30-year-old Wayne Trotter was attacked in Boreham Wood in what appears to have been a motiveless killing. The United Nations has said it's gravely disturbed by Israel's latest military attack on a refugee camp in the Gaza Strip. 10 Palestinians, 2 of them UN relief workers, were killed when Israeli troops backed by tanks and helicopter gunships fought their way into the crowded Al Burej camp. From there, Orla Guerin reports.
A night of death in Gaza.
Palestinians evacuating one of their casualties. Israel hit hard on a sacred night for Muslims, the beginning of the... But fierce Palestinian resistance to the Israeli raid. Disputes still about how many civilians may be among the dead. This father, one of those caught in the middle. Wounded at his feet, his 12-year-old daughter, Heba. And this, the view in daylight after Israel's tanks, its explosives and the missile it fired into this crowded refugee camp. 6 families homeless, nothing left but despair and hate. They told us the troops made them paupers overnight. They brought out the families one at a time. Mona says, we couldn't take anything, no clothes, no money. Destruction and loss, and 10 Palestinians dead. The United Nations demanding answers for all of this. There are 2 different versions of what happened here, competing claims from Israelis and Palestinians. What's clear is that for the innocent civilians who live in this area, it was a terrifying night with fighting raging for hours. In the words of one local resident, it was as if the gates of hell had been opened. After that hell, the hours of grief. Israel came here hunting a wanted man. He's still free, but 2 UN workers among the dead. One, a teacher, a woman of 30.
During the operation, Palestinian gunmen opened fire at our forces and a heavy exchange of fire erupted. We returned fire to the source of fire and we consider this operation successful.
A success Heba's paying for. We found the 12-year-old recovering today after being pulled from the rubble last night. Israel says it killed mostly militants. The UN says mostly civilians. Orla Gearan, BBC News, Gaza.
It's nearly 2 months since the bomb attacks on the island of Bali, which killed more than 190 people, most of them Westerners. Security surrounding the 4,000 Britons in Indonesia has been stepped up in the wake of the bombing, but many across the country are anxious for their safety. Clive Myrie reports from Jakarta on the fears of the expatriate community and the attempts to bring the bombers to justice.
Bali, 8 weeks on. This area is where the bomb went off. Though the rubble, human remains have been cleared, death haunts this place. A smiling Indonesian car mechanic known as Amrozi is paraded before us. He's confessed being part of the bomb plot, traced as the last registered owner of the van packed with explosives that blew up. He's named a number of co-conspirators, including his brother. Arrests have been made.
They never regret of what they've done. They are happy with that.
They're proud of what they've done?
Yeah, that's it. True.
Why are they so proud of murdering so many people?
Because they think that those people who are dying are their enemies.
On the gate of a housing estate near Jakarta, a guard keeps watch. Inside, we found the Hedges family from Hertfordshire. They've lived here for 2.5 years. Mark's work is here. Despite everything, they told me they want to stay in Indonesia.
This is my home. Yes, we have bombs here very often, and we can't just sit back and think, help, we need to move. The fact is, this is where we are in life, this is where we are, and so therefore we have to make the most of it.
Changes at Charlotte and Lawrence School. It's now a fortress, having just reopened following a specific threat it would be attacked.
Well, the guys we can see over here with the white shirts are our own campus security. But since the Bali bombings, we've beefed this up by having members of the Brigade Mobile, the paramilitary part of the Indonesian police, who are garrisoned on the campus. We have 21 of these here, based on the campus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The British Embassy, responsible for 4,000 Britons here, is also bristling with guns.
The number of staff working at the embassy is being scaled down. Non-essential personnel are returning home. There is a very real fear here that the terrorist threat will remain present and dangerous for many years to come.
Our advice to the expatriates at the moment says, stay away from the places where Westerners congregate, traditionally the bars, the restaurants. I mean, we've had to add churches to that, which is pretty awful.
Every day, routine activities are now fraught with danger. Not all the Bali bombers have been caught, leaving many here living their lives under siege. Clive Myrie, BBC News, Jakarta.
The Hollywood star Winona Ryder has been placed on probation in order to do community service following a shoplifting spree at a Beverly Hills boutique. The actress, who won Oscar nominations for her roles in Little Women and Age of Innocence, was also fined $10,000 and told to undergo treatment for drug abuse. David Willis was in the Los Angeles court.
It was observed.
Shoplifting turned soap opera. For those crammed inside the Beverly Hills courthouse, Winona Ryder's sentencing didn't disappoint.
What else is offensive to me is for someone to trot out the body of a dead child and in some way say because she supported the family of
that is just so outrageous, Judge.
The reference was to Miss Ryder's work with the Center for Relatives of Murdered and Missing Children, the subject raised by her lawyer as part of his plea for a lenient sentence.
She's going to carry with her the scarlet letter of S, of shoplifter, wherever she goes.
Sentencing Miss Ryder, the judge said he discussed the case with his 16-year-old son, Ryan, who'd raised a pertinent question.
Why would Winona Ryder steal from Saks Fifth Avenue when she certainly has enough money to pay for anything that she wanted to buy?
The answer, it was claimed in court, was the sheer thrill of shoplifting. But when Winona Ryder disappeared into this fitting room, scissors concealed in her handbag, her fate was sealed. Security guards recovered a veritable wardrobe of designer goods, including handbags and blouses. She ripped off the security tags before smuggling them out of the store. Court documents kept from the jury during her trial and later released to the media show that far from being an isolated incident, prosecutors believe that Winona Ryder had shoplifted before on at least 3 other occasions without being arrested. Winona Ryder left the court without talking to reporters. A statement issued on her behalf said she now hoped to put the matter behind her. David Willis, BBC News, Beverly Hills.
It's just gone 10:25. I'll be back a little later with an update on the day's headlines, but now we join our news teams across the British Isles.
Good evening from Points West. A 5-year-old boy has been rescued tonight from a burning house in Weston-super-Mare. Firefighters arrived to find the boy unconscious inside. They resuscitated him until the ambulance arrived and took him to the Western General. His condition's not yet known. During the rescue, the heat was so intense that firefighters' kit was melted. The Prime Minister left Bristol today after a visit that just wouldn't go to plan. He could be forgiven for being glad to leave. Everywhere he went, reporters were there asking questions about Mrs. Blair's new city centre flats, even during a visit to a new health park.
They'd tried to keep the visit to Knoll West Health Park quiet, but even here a solitary firefighter came to protest.
Tony Blair came here today wanting to talk about the treatment for drug addicts in this area of South Bristol, but all the media wanted to do was ask him about his wife's controversial purchase of 2 flats in Bristol.
He certainly wasn't talking about that. Instead, he was shown around before being taken to meet drug workers and addicts' families. This was what officials wanted the media to show. They'd arranged for the Prime Minister to serve up cuppers. Then the talk got more serious about the government's new approach to drugs, offering more treatment and rehabilitation. Bristol's getting £2 million, but if you think you've heard that before, it's because this is part of money that was announced on Tuesday.
It's no good messing about and telling him, you know, it's all lovely, because it's not, is it? You know, you've got a son or a daughter that's a drug addict. It's not a lovely life.
The meeting was quite good, but I think by the time it actually started to get going, it was time for him to leave.
If his visit to Bristol had been tough, he wouldn't admit it.
You enjoyed your visit to Bristol?
Yeah, thank you. But local campaigner Mary Smith persuaded him to make an unscheduled stop.
I took him on a quick tour of the area, actually, because he came and seen this, which is brand new and brilliant. So I took him at Philwood, which is run down. I think he looked shocked at looking down, because somebody took his photo up against loads of graffiti. I mean, it's very run down. And you can see no money's been put into that for years and years and years.
Then he left Bristol. No time to drop in for a tour of the newly acquired flats. Paul Baltrop, BBC Points West, Knoll West.
One of the West's chief constables warned today that she may have to cut police numbers because of a lack of money. Elizabeth Neville, who runs the Wiltshire force, says the funding announced today isn't enough to maintain the existing service, let alone improve it. The government says it's made a massive increase in spending.
Under pressure and, according to their chief constable, underfunded. Wiltshire Police got an extra £1.7 million today. The government says that's generous, but the chief constable says she needs 3 times that much to keep the force going. She says she won't rule out cutting the number of officers or support staff or closing police stations.
Every police force in the southwest of England is today facing exactly the same issues as we are here in Wiltshire, of the funding which has been provided to us being inadequate to continue with the existing levels of service, never mind making progress.
What it boils down to is this: the police authorities can make cuts to their existing services, or the council taxpayer will have to dig deeper into his and her pocket.
Definitely. Needs more balls on the street.
We hardly see one anyway in the village, do we, really? No, I think I would pay more.
Music to the ears of Avon and Somerset's chief constable.
The people of Avon and Somerset not only want better policing services, a much more visible police presence, but they're also prepared to pay for it.
The West chief constables now have to look at the figures to decide where the cuts might be made. Steve Brody, BBC Points West.
A 55-year-old woman has been severely beaten by a mugger in Keynsham who robbed her of just a few pounds. The attack happened yesterday afternoon in a lane near Keynsham Primary School. When the woman refused to let go of her shoulder bag, the robber kicked her in the face until she did. He got away with just £10 in cash and an empty lunchbox. In rugby, Bath came unstuck in the final moments of their Parker Pen Challenge match at Bridgend tonight. Bridgend will take a 2-point lead into next Saturday's Recreation Ground return, but Bath could still secure a quarter-final place. Now, getting a parking ticket is a nuisance most people do anything to avoid. But for one man in Bath, it's become almost a way of life. Kevin Padgington refuses to pay to park outside his own house. Today he was in court again to contest yet another ticket. But when the magistrates convicted him, he chose a novel way of paying off the fine.
Busking it. Bath Magistrates Court is perhaps not the most popular pitch, but this is a man who doesn't like sticking with convention. Kevin Padgington is trying to raise money to pay his latest parking fine. For a year, he's refused to pay the fines on nearly 30 tickets for parking outside his house without a permit. He claims he can't afford the £50 residence disc, and the council is discriminating against him, a single dad, and other people on low incomes. Today, he was summoned to court again, found guilty and fined £30.
OK, I think residence parking is good. It does traffic calming, it has good measures. However, there's a minority in Bath that are having to pay for Bath's parking problem. It's a council that attracts all the visitors and people from surrounding towns. It's not our fault here in Widcombe.
In fact, the magistrate at today's hearing admitted parking in Bath is a nightmare, but Kevin's approach wasn't the answer. Imogen Sellers, BBC Points West in Bath.
Well, finally, a little festive cheer. And hundreds gathered tonight for a traditional Victorian evening at Chipping Sodbury in South Gloucestershire. There were family games, a steam train, and even some fake snow. Doesn't it look lovely? That's all from us for now. Back to Michael in London. Bye-bye.
Main news again tonight. Homosexual partners are to get similar rights as married couples. They'll be treated the same over pensions, property and inheritance tax. President Bush has dumped his Treasury chief amid new fears for the American economy. And a man's been charged with raping 9 women and girls in southeast England. Newsnight starting now over on BBC Two, but from the 10 o'clock news, good night.
Well, I think we can argue that we have started to feel winter now. It's not over yet. It's going to get a bit colder this weekend. However, there is some good news. I think by Monday the cloud might shift a bit, and we're keeping at bay what looks like a fairly monster system in the Atlantic. So we can ignore it. No, all our weather's coming from the east, and the lines just show really that the direction of flow of the wind, and in it, between Saturday and Sunday, is something of a disturbance, a little front. So, could snow be on the cards? Just a little bit. It looks likely that maybe a couple of centimetres will fall, let's say southern and eastern England, mainly the eastern side, and we'll give it for the hills of the Chilterns, the Wolds of Lincolnshire. No more than that. Nice to play in for the children, but I don't think anything serious. Now, all this time, this applies for tonight and tomorrow night, the wind and the cloud together should keep away a frost. We might just get one briefly in Northern Ireland, maybe in parts of Scotland, but not generally speaking. So, compared with last night, it's actually a warmer night for Northern Ireland. But the wind itself and the lack of sunshine by day means that the wind chill is going to be noticeable. It's going to be colder in feel tomorrow and Sunday than is the case, or has been the case today. Down to about -3 is the feel in Edinburgh. Down to about -4 or -5 is how it'll feel in London. Principally because the air is very cold and there's no sunshine. And it'll be thick enough cloud to bring a few more spots of rain and increasingly maybe sleet for the hills. The further west you are, the better chance of it staying dry. There's some chance of a bit of sunshine in the afternoon, maybe Northern Ireland, but it doesn't look too hopeful. Now, the biggest difference between Saturday and Sunday is likely to be not so much the cloud balance as the drop in the temperature. As the temperatures themselves go down a degree, so of course the wind chill cuts in even more. Now, it's Saturday night, and that little wiggle in the frontal system. This is when we might see the snow, and it seems most likely that it'll just be spitty and spotty, and the further west you are, the less likely you will see, I think. But it could be as far north as Yorkshire and as far south as Kent, and it'll be maybe nice to wake up to. Now, Sunday's picture is a degree down once more, extensive cloud, and again there will be 1 or 2 outbreaks of sleet or rain. Better chance maybe of breaks in the cloud for Western Scotland and Northern Ireland. And on Monday, a better chance still of drier air coming in and a bit more chance of sunshine, which would cheer us up a bit after a rather boring weekend, because it looks like it'll be cold and grey. The wind chill increasing throughout the weekend with just rain, sleet, or a little snow and a little sunshine. You can keep up to date with this on the website.
"2002 was an exceptional year of sport. But before the stars relax, there's one last challenge. The BBC Sports Personality of the Year. This Sunday at 8 on BBC One.
Punjabi Door, man, it's wicked. I tell you what, you've got to check this tune out. This is going to be huge.
Good bass line. Just your cup of tea, huh?
Nasa hates this kind of music, but he's gonna love this.
BBC Asian Network, the new digital radio station with music, news and views. Have you heard yourself lately?
It's amazing the difference a haircut can make. Gwyneth Paltrow stars in the movie Sliding Doors tomorrow night on BBC One, losing her job and her man for the better at 10:20. Right now, it's time for Jonathan.
Let BBCI transport you to the most extreme environments and into the lives of mammals. By pressing the red button or text key on your digital remote or logging on to bbc.co.uk/nature, you can put your skills to the test and see if you'd survive. The life of mammals. An epic tale of survival continues with BBCI. It's as good as being in David's suitcase.
Only Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry have ever won snooker's UK Championship 4 times before. And they'd like to keep it that way.
Under pressure.
Can Ronnie get even with the Stevens and win his 4th title? Snooker's UK Championship starts tomorrow at 6 and continues throughout the week on BBC 2.